Hello, my name is Carl, and in this video I'm going to give you an introduction to the new features added to the shop floor mobile web application in Visual 900. The shop floor mobile application has been enhanced to add labor reporting and material transaction functionality. The new material and labor reporting functionality is enabled via a minimum required user count for the BTS material, BTS labor, wedge labor, or visual time and attendance license keys. If the minimum required user count exists on these license keys, the material or labor transaction processing feature will be enabled in Shop Floor Mobile. Once enabled, there is no license restriction on the number of users which may use the shop floor transaction features. Material transaction support will be enabled when the BTS material license is for a minimum of 4 users. Labor transactions support will be enabled when the BTS labor or wedge labor license is for a minimum of 6 users, or the visual time and attendance license is for a minimum of 10 users. User access to the material and labor transaction features is enabled via selected options in the user maintenance screen. The supported labor transactions are clock in, clock out, break, indirect, start setup, start run, and stop job. Now I'll log into the shop floor mobile application so we can look at some of those screens. As you can see, the labor and material features are enabled. I'll select the labor option, and then in the menu, select labor preferences. In the labor preferences screen are all of the preferences available for configuring the labor transaction processing in Shop Floor Mobile. Some of these options are only accessible when logged in as sysadmin. Other options are user-based and may be set by the end user. The Labor Ticket Entry menu page allows entering an employee ID and selecting a menu item to open that page with the employee ID filled in. If the Labor Ticket Entry menu page is idle for more than 15 seconds, the employee ID field will be cleared. Here you can see the Clock In page, which allows employees to clock in. Next, we see the Clock Out page, which allows employees to clock out. The Break page allows employees to clock on and off of break. The Indirect page allows employees to clock onto indirect tickets. The Start Setup page allows employees to start a job setup labor ticket. The Start Run page allows employees to start a job run labor ticket. The Stop Job page allows completing an in-process setup or run labor ticket and supports trace entry. The Job Search page allows job lookups by resource ID and additionally by part ID, base, lot, split, sub-ID, or operation sequence number. Once a job is found, the user may select the item from the list and select the Start Setup, Start Run, or Start Job buttons to open the associated transaction screen pre-populated to allow them to quickly complete the transaction. The My Labor page displays the labor tickets associated with the employee ID. By default, the page will display labor tickets created for the employee's current shift or prior 12 hours. The default behavior may be overridden by entering the from and to date time values. The supported material transactions are Issue to Work Order, Issue Return from Work Order, Receive from Work Order, Return to Work Order, Adjust In, Adjust Out, and Location to Location transfers. Let's take a look at some of those screens. The Inventory Preference page is where the preferences for inventory transactions are set. It currently only has a single option for autofill location, which allows autofilling the from warehouse and location for inventory transfers. The Inventory Transaction Entry page displays a menu with the inventory transaction pages available. Touching an item in the list will open the associated transaction page. The Issue to Work Order menu item opens the Issue Material page where the user may fill in the work order requirement, warehouse location, and quantity information, then submit an issue material transaction. The Issue Return from Work Order menu item opens the Issue Return page where the user may fill in the work order requirement, warehouse location, and quantity information, then submit an issue return transaction. The Receive from Work Order menu item opens the Work Order Receipt page where the user may fill in the work order, part, warehouse location, and quantity information, then submit a work order receipt transaction. The Return to Work Order menu item opens the Work Order Return page where the user may fill in the work order, part, warehouse location, and quantity information, then submit a work order return transaction. The Issue by Work Order menu item opens the Issue by Job page where the user may search for work order material requirements to perform issue and issue return transactions on. The user would select an item from the list and then use the Issue or Return buttons to open the associated transaction page. The Adjust In menu item opens the Adjust In page where the user may enter the part ID, warehouse location, and quantity, then submit an Adjust In transaction. The Adjust Out menu item opens the Adjust Out page where the user may enter the part ID, warehouse location, and quantity, then submit an Adjust Out transaction. The Location to Location menu item opens the Transfer page where the user may enter a part ID, the from warehouse location, the to warehouse location, and a quantity, then submit an inventory transfer transaction. This is not an inter-branch transfer. The Work Order Transaction History menu item opens the Work Order Transaction page where the user may enter work order information to display a list of transactions made for the work order. The Scan Mode option, when selected, will open field-level prompt pages for each transaction type selected from the menu instead of opening the transaction page directly. This leads the user through a series of prompt pages which allow the user to enter or scan entries. At the end of the prompt pages, the transaction page will display with the information filled in, and the user may submit the transaction or make modifications. Trace is supported for labor reporting as well as all material transaction types. Labor trace entry is made during a stop job transaction. If trace is required for the operation being reported, the trace button will be enabled. The user touches the trace button to open the labor trace page, where they can view current trace entries, add new trace entries, or edit existing items. Edits may be made to a trace entry by selecting the trace item and touching the Edit button. Once trace has been entered, the user may submit the stop job transaction. Material trace entry is made during material transaction entry. The trace button is enabled when trace is required. The user touches the trace button to open the trace page where they can view current trace entries, add new trace entries, or edit existing items. Once trace has been entered, the user may submit the material transaction. Additional changes have been made to the scheduling pages. The work order summary page has been changed to allow users to view reference documents and the picture associated with the work order header and operation. A purple paperclip document icon displays where there are reference documents. There is a new tooling icon to indicate when there is a material referenced on the operation which is for a tool or fixture. There are new buttons to launch the Start Setup, Start Run, Stop Job, and Receive Work Order transaction screens. I'll start this job by selecting the Start Job button, entering the employee ID, and touching Submit. I can now stop that same job by touching the item, touching Stop Job, entering the employee ID, and touching Submit. The work order details page has been modified to allow users to view reference documents and pictures associated with the work order header and operation. A purple paperclip document icon displays when there are referenced documents. There is a new tooling icon to indicate when there is a material referenced on the operation which is for a tool or fixture. There are new buttons to launch the Start Setup, Start Run, Stop Job, and Receive Work Order transaction screens. The Labor Tickets page has been modified to allow users to view reference documents and the picture associated with the work order header and operation. A purple paperclip document icon displays when there are referenced documents. There is a new button to open the Stop Job page for the in-process labor ticket. The Labor Ticket Detail page has been modified to allow users to view reference documents and the pictures associated with the work order header and operation. A purple paperclip document icon displays when there are reference documents. There is a new button to open the Stop Job page for the in-process setup or run labor tickets. The Operations page displays the operations for a work order. The user may choose to show open operations only, as well as change the sorting of the operations list. There are options to allow users to view reference documents and the picture associated with the work order header and operation. A purple paperclip document icon displays when there are reference documents. A tooling icon displays to indicate there is a material referenced on the operation, which is a tool or fixture. There are buttons to launch the Start Setup, Start Run, and Stop Job transaction screens. The Materials page displays the material requirements for a work order. The user may choose to show short materials only to get a quick list of where there may be insufficient supply. There are options to allow the user to view reference documents and the picture associated with the material requirement and associated part ID. A purple paperclip document icon displays when there are reference documents. A tooling icon displays to indicate when the material is a tool or fixture. There are buttons to open the issue and issue return transaction pages to perform material transactions. The user maintenance screen in Visual Enterprise has been changed to display the list of users in a grid, which allows multiple user entries when adding users. When there is a license key which enables the mobile labor or material features, the mobile labor and mobile material columns will be visible, as well as the visual column. These columns allow associating users with licensing for visual and/or the mobile labor or mobile material features. If the visual column is checked, the user will have access to Visual Enterprise. If the mobile labor column is checked, the user will have access to the labor transaction features in shop floor. If the mobile material column is checked, the user will have access to the material transaction features in shop floor. That's the end of this introduction to the new features added in Shop Floor Mobile. I hope you enjoyed this video.